Hey folks, it's David from Retro Rides here, and today we are going to talk about my old Datsun. So I've had this Datsun Sunny, 1979 Datsun Sunny Coupe since 2006, 7 maybe, and I got it completely standard. It was 30,000 miles from new. It wasn't in perfect condition. It was alright. The door bottoms were going a little bit. There were some dents and stuff around the place, but it drove well. It was nice. I drove it around for a year or so before lowering it with the help of Armad on the forum. That was chop springs, and then later on there was a coilover conversion with the help from Johnny69 on the forum, and Seth also did a bunch of work on that as well to help me out with welding and all that kind of thing that I was massively incapable of doing at the time and now. And then at some point I decided that an SR20 DET was the thing that I wanted powering it, rather than the little A14 1400 cc engine in it, and off it went to get that done, and it didn't come back exactly how I wanted it. I'm going to put it that much. There were problems. Now I'm not dragging up the past on that. That happened. We are where we are. So I'm still solving some of the problems from that period and other problems that have occurred since. And I completely lost any desire to work on this car towards the end of last year. I took it for an MOT and it passed. Like I said, it passed on everything except it failed on 3 things. It failed on the front suspension problem, it failed on the horn, and it failed on the washer not working. The front suspension problem I solved by dismantling and rebuilding the front suspension that afternoon, and that was fine. The horn was a button on the dash, and the washer bottle was an electrical problem that I couldn't work out. So after consulting with the forum, I changed the washer to be a literal bottle that you squeeze, which theoretically will pass an MOT, and the horn wasn't labelled on the dash, so I could understand them missing that. So I took it back and they failed it again. Not the suspension this time, my fix on that worked, but they said that a horn must be within the radius of the steering wheel, which I don't think is true, because it's been passed for the last 6 years with that horn on the dash, because a relay went somewhere along the line, and I sort of did a quick fix for an MOT. It passed the MOT, so I just left it there. And then the washer bottle, I've been assured by a number of people, is not ideal, but it's not an MOT failure. So, but after that experience, I was just fed up of the whole thing, and I haven't been really back into the garage to work on the car. I've fiddled a little bit with the electrics. I did try and get the horn working, like the week after my failed MOT. I thought, oh no, I'll do this, I'll smash this out, I'll get the horn onto the horn ring, and then get the washer bottle not on the dash, not on the stalk, but on the switch on dashboard that the horn used to be on, and just couldn't get it working, and I just lost the will to live or the will to work on the car. So there we are. Subsequent to that, various other bits and pieces have occurred, so I'm going to attempt to motivate myself into doing it by recording some videos about the car, and first of all is this one, where we will just have a quick look around the car and I can tell you all of the various bits and pieces that I wish to do. So without further ado, here is the car. So it is got stuff on it from the winter, so let's take all this off. This is my garage of bits and pieces. It being winter, it's been used for storing of wood and various other bits and pieces. I recently managed to clear out a bunch of stuff, but right. That can go down there. Right, here we are. 1979 Datsun Sunny. So problems I have are Down here, these door bottoms are a little bit crispier than they used to be. They've not got that much worse, but they're not wholly. They're just a bit crispy. When the engine swap got done, this area got repaired, and that's great. That's fine. These are new wheels. This is a Lotus Center and a split rim made by Force Racing wheels, and they are great. I had a slight drama with the tyres, but I got that sorted, although this does need pumping up, so that's great. That's what happens when you leave a car sitting. These are the current rear wheels, which we'll get onto in a minute. This is a carpet that's been unceremoniously dumped. This is my battery. It's currently unplugged for various reasons, but this is the battery box that goes over the top of it. And occasionally that will spark and terrify me that the car's going to burst into flames, so I need to solve that. Somewhere in here, that is the rear wheel. You can see they are nice and wide, but I don't know how well you can see in here. This here needs to be bored out a little bit. So when I originally got them done, because they're Lotus Centers, I'd had Lotus wheels on these before, and they were from the same car. So I was of the opinion that it was likely that I would be able to just put these wheels on because they're from the same type of car, and the centre bore hadn't changed. But I'd forgotten two things. Firstly, the rear axle has changed on this. It's now Ford rear axle, and secondly, it was from a different series of the same car. And actually, when I looked up online, they had changed the centre bores, so that's grand. So they need to be bored out a little bit. But I'm going to go to Rims Carnated, who are not too far from me, and get them to have a look at it. And then what else have we got in here? So let's go and have a look over here. Right. This is where I've been fiddling, trying to get the horn working. Doesn't work. This dashboard, good God. So this is literally just been cut up, and then this plate put over it. So what I'm going to do is get a 3D printed box section, I guess would be the right word, pod mounting for it, and then we can have that a little bit neater. Here's the infamous washer bottle. It even says washer on it. What more do they want? I took the center console out because I just wanted it a bit neater, but I need to remake all this carpet. But I also need to remake carpet over here as well. This is like a panel. So I'm not treading on them. I'm not 100% sure why. I'm sure there's good reason, I just don't know what it is. Why I have pedals on the floor and not pedals hanging down as was previous. It's probably a space issue. I'm going to look into that because it's possible I might replace those pedals. What else we got in here? Down here, all of this is sort of fairly loose. There's a remote control in there for some reason, I don't know. That's the ECU box here. That's not mounted anywhere. At the moment this isn't mounted anywhere. It did have a mounting, but where I've moved the center console around, that's gone. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just unfinished in here. And then I'm gonna get rid of these seats at some point because so the seats are original, they're nice, they're not massively comfortable on a long journey, I have to say, but if I sit in here and I put my feet on the pedals, you can see the problem. It's not a very comfortable drive. Now I'm going to get a slightly smaller steering wheel anyway, so that will make some room, but it's part of the reason I want to look at moving the pedal box around because my legs are too long for all this. There's a bunch of parts that used to be in it, and I need to send those to a guy who I offered them to. So then we have the bonnet. So here's the engine. Really, it's actually not too bad now. So I replaced all the cooling. It was just overheating constantly previously. I do have, at the moment, this is the fan controller, which is on a switch for this one fan. I actually have two fans here. and I've got a fan controller that can control both, but it's a thermostatic controller, and obviously electricals are not my strong suit, so I am going to solve that. This area here is where the washer bottle will go, once I've worked out how the hell the electrical magic on that works. In fact, why you know work. Then over here you can see I've over torqued these a little bit, so I need to tap them and get them out, and then put some new ones in. I kind of want to remake the whole of this manifold section over here, so this air pipe here is squashing this pipe here, so that's causing problems. And I also, when I redid the cooling, I remade this entire section because it didn't have it still doesn't have a cover over the cam angle sensor, because of the way it was done previously. So I need to redo that and put a cover on the cam angle sensor, because this is now leaning into this. So I don't really know. I think I need to come in, go straight up, across, and then down at an angle, and then I think that'll free up that and it won't hit that. But I just need a bunch of pipe to play with for a while, and also every time I take this stuff off and take it apart, I smash my fingers to smithereens because it's really difficult to get off, which I guess is the point, because they're boost pipes and such. Other than that, in here it's not too bad. There's no leaks or anything anymore. Yeah, so the battery ran out in the middle of recording yesterday. I didn't intend this to be a 2-day recording, but I'll just finish off the other side of the car and then talk about our plan of action. So we were under the bonnet, last thing we saw, and we were discussing how there's no leaks of coolant and stuff anymore, so that's nice. No, somebody outside revving their engine, Italian tuning at its finest. One thing I do have a problem with is shutting the bonnet, for various reasons that again are tricky to work out. This just absolutely isn't working properly. I have this dent here, which is a new exciting thing, because this thing used to be mounted on the wall and one day it fell off, so that's annoying. There's you can just about see it, there's a crease here that's been there since I owned it. This bumper at the front, which needs a repaint, or replacing with a glass fibre version, because I can get those from Japan. A little bit of lightness would be nice. That isn't straight at all. It bends in. There's been a crunch at some point. This bit of that needs a bit of fixing. On the roof, which hopefully you can see, this is calcium deposits. Like where it used to be stored, one of the pipes above it just used to leak out really random stuff. It's probably frighteningly toxic. Yeah, it's there, and it's got on the door as well, and I've tried numerous things to get rid of it. There's nothing I seem to be able to do about it. These arches at the back, this has actually been rolled. They're very nicely done. This was done, same guy did the engine conversion. Like, as I said, I'm not complaining too much. There's work on here is fine, but this all needs painting. This door bottom, this side, needs work. There's this, which I'm actually not sure when that happened. There's some things like that on the boot as well that I need to sort out. Yeah, it's bodywork's not, I mean, it's not terrible. There's a slight crease here, which I think has come from sorry, we couldn't see that properly. There's a slight crease here, which I think has come from this striking this arch and bending it. When I was in France, the roads there were not great. The springs at the back are a little bit too soft, so it kept on sort of bumping up into the arch. So I will fix that. That's not a major problem, I don't think. So I don't have one of these wings. I have the other side. So over here, spare parts wise, there is a wing for the other side, which I don't need, and the one side I do need, I don't have. So such is life. such is life. Yeah, there it is. That's my car. Slightly depressing in many ways, but it's kind of there or thereabouts sometimes. So the plan is sort out the electrical stuff. Okay, let's do that. Hold on, let's spin me round. Hello. So yeah, we'll sort out the electrical stuff first, because I mean I can get it MOT'd then. I mean it's only that's stopping it from being MOT'd. I think there's a misfire on the engine, but you know that's something I can sort out. I can get it to somewhere to have that looked at. The thermostat stuff, which I think is in this box. Here we are. We got one thermostat and more wires than I really want to think about. That needs to go on next, really, because I'm not making use of the fans and stuff that I've put on there. All of the bushing needs doing. It's not making too much noise at the moment, probably because the tyre's flat. But yeah, the bushes are quite noisy, I think. The suspension just in general is quite noisy, and I don't know if it's just because of the coilover setup with the sort of top hat type stuff, or if all of the bushing needs doing. But I might as well do the bushes anyway, just because it's one of those things that's doable, not necessarily an enjoyable job. And then I need to kind of get it on the road. As I say, the driving position's not comfortable, but I can drive it, and I've driven it long distance. I drove it to Le Mans and back, so it's not impossible to drive it in those positions. It's just not that comfortable for a long time. So I'm less worried about that stuff, that interior stuff. The speedo doesn't work at the moment. I need to sort that out. There's some missing bolts between the engine and the gearbox, which I need to sort out. I'm not even sure how I'm going to begin to do that, but it's got enough bolts in there that it doesn't do anything silly when you put some power down. But there's a few bolt holes that could be filled, so I might as well make sure they are. There's a few mismatched ones because the gearbox is from a slightly earlier car. Again, that might be something that someone a bit more professional than me would probably be worth looking at. So that's what I'm trying to work out, is what jobs I can do and what jobs I get someone else to do. I think the wheels on the back are definitely going to have to be someone else, because they need to be bored out properly. I'm not just going to stick a flat wheel around those and bore them out. I'll get those done properly, get the tyres on there, and then the car at least looks how it's supposed to look, and with the engine working it will go how it's pretty much supposed to go, and then it's improvement work. So follow me on this journey, which will probably have even more ups and downs, because this car has been nothing if not ups and downs. Anyway, I'll see you next time in the garage, when I will have some electrical stuff working through the power of help from the forum from a chap called Fad.